All right. Welcome to the Splitting Hairs podcast presented by Jackrabbit Illustrated. Shout out to our title sponsors, Cottonwood Coffee and Drake's Place. Glad to have them aboard. Hopefully, you guys got to Cottonwood, either the bistro or Cottonwood Coffee on Main prior to the Hobo Day festivities to make sure you were amped for all that stuff. Hank, great to have you, dude. I appreciate you filling in for Matt, who couldn't be here. He's at a wedding. But it's always nice to have a TV-ready personality hop on to be able to talk some Jackrabbit football. So with that being said, man, how you doing?
Doing well, man. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime. So now with the transition outside of the broadcast booth, you're able to kind of watch, kick your feet up and just be a general fan like one of us. So what was that like on Saturday?
Well, it's different. That's for sure. 10 years being in the broadcast booth with my partner, Tom Neiman, taking a step back this year and not being up there. Yeah, much different. But this past Saturday, we were able to have a bunch of the family over for our own little mini Hobo Day. We had some conflicts, didn't allow us to be up in Brookings. But so far this fall, I'm enjoying it. Coaching some U7 soccer. That's keeping me busy as well. Just a different feel to not only the Jackrabbit games, but all the games that are going on nationally, week in and week out, and just able to be a fan of the game and just be a little more chilled out, I guess.
Definitely, man. And now you're a Hawkeye fan, kind of on the side with your Jackrabbit fandom. So the spoiler makers got one last week. So Iowa, they're going to bounce back. You think they're going to make a run the rest of the year?
I sure hope so. As a fan, it'd be fun. It was fun the first half of the season, but they've got some deficiencies on the offensive side of the ball that more than likely, will pose a problem again sometime here in the very near future. But a solid squad through and through. Hawkeye fandom, just so everybody knows, born and raised in the Hawkeye State, and so grew up wearing the black and gold, and so always follow those guys.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I mean, we get a ton of guys from Iowa, from the Hawkeye State, and we're able to dip in there. And, the Cyclones, I'm not trying to, pour salt in anyone. They're doing pretty well so far as of late anyway. And, they were able to eke one out against the Northern Iowa Panthers, who was our foe this past week. And so jumping right into it, it was kind of a disappointing one. I think just didn't play a real complete game. I know everybody wants to beat the injury drum and use that kind of as a crutch, no pun intended. But the reality is when you're down 3 All-Americans, there is going to be a different feel, a different energy when you roll out your defense, when you roll out an offense that has a pretty good offensive line, but really a one-dimensional running game, as we saw on Saturday. So kind of what were your general impressions overall of the game?
Yeah, you hit the key term there in disappointing. Of course, no one wants to lose on Hobo Day. Nobody wants to lose, but especially on Hobo Day, guys. That's. But for you and I, it seems as if they're always a thorn in our side in Brookings and on Hobo Day. Coach Farley, he's always got those guys ready to go, and we know that they always have players. It's a rock solid program. Through and through, has been for decades. And, when you look at this Jackrabbit team, the last few weeks, they're just not playing very good football. There's no denying that. Offensively, it just looks like a totally different group as far as just their complete lack of rhythm as a unit. I really was hoping that perhaps they would springboard off of that second half last week at Western Illinois, which they were able obviously to do some good things, but it really just didn't happen outside of one or two drives early on where it looked like they felt good about themselves or confident in what they were trying to accomplish. And so, it was ugly at times. And we really didn't listen to the broadcast. Had a bunch of people here. We had some music playing, and the audio was kind of janky on the broadcast anyway, so we're just pumping the tunes, but obviously for that crowd, it certainly had to have been a disappointing afternoon on a beautiful day for Hobo Day.
Certainly, man. And you got to kind of take the good with the bad. You played ball long enough. For those who don't know, former DB from 2001 to 2005, made some big plays yourself. And then to have a guy like Don Gardner, who's an All-American DB, who really whose services would have been, mightily needed against an Isaiah Weston, against Quan Hampton, these really shifty, really capable athletes and receivers that you and I was rolling out there. Talk about the impact that would probably make on a team to not have a guy at full strength like that.
Yeah, it hurts. To have one of those guys be down hurts. You mentioned the injury bug, which we've obviously been stricken with here this season. I've heard some folks ask me about, hey, kind of the relatively quick turnaround from last spring. And how that could be playing into some of this stuff. And, I don't know. I know these guys have played a lot of football in the last 10 months. No doubt about that. And yeah, these injuries, they're certainly adding up, and they're not just, when you talk about guys like Don Gardner, you talk about guys like Logan Backus, these are cornerstones to your defensive unit, not just guys who can make plays and be relied upon to be where they need to be, but also to lead the group, to lead this team, and to provide that sense of surety and confidence that, hey, guys, we're good because somebody's going to make a play here. And it just seems like offensively, even though they haven't necessarily been stricken with that injury bug in some of those key roles outside of course, Gronowski, even though that isn't the case on that side of the ball, it sure seems like they're lacking some of that confidence that maybe could come from the defensive side, that some of that core leadership saying, hey, guys, we're good, let's go. I really think, and I think last weekend was a testament to my theory. Just, this offensive line is really not playing well right now. They're not playing with a synergy or a cohesiveness that, like what we saw the first 3-4 games of the season, like when they came out against Colorado State. This was they dominated that game. They dominated an FBS team in the trenches for 4 quarters. And right now, it's not that they're physically unable to do that. It's just that they're unsure of what they're doing. They're unsure of what they're trying to accomplish as an offensive unit, and that's trickling throughout the whole unit. You see Chris running around back there and just unsure of what exactly he's seeing and hesitant to pull the trigger and not 100% sure when he does. And then, of course, the 1,000-pound gorilla in the room this past Saturday, those drop balls, which obviously that plays a big part. Everybody sees and feels those drops, and you just feel the energy and the confidence getting sucked out of the entire team.
Yeah, man. I think when you talk about synergy, I think that hits the nail on the head in terms of just encapsulating the game as a whole, right? So it starts with the scheme and install during the week of practice, right? Got to have good, crisp week of practice, got to get to class, got to do what you got to do when you're supposed to do it, and do it with tenacity and 100% effort. And the focus is really what is lacking on a lot of these drop balls, because it's purely just being locked in first making the catch, right? First securing the catch. I think that when you look at the offensive line, I think it starts obviously with install and trust and communication. But when we're getting behind the sticks so early, when we're not trusting the run game, when we're throwing 53 times a game, and abandoning the run when there are wrinkles that you're seeing some success with. Now, I won't make any qualms here. I'm not an offensive coordinator. I'm not a play caller. What I did in Madden in high school on the sticks is nothing like game day preparation. But I will say this: when you're watching X and O's and when you're watching the game unfold and you see the little stretch zone, the quick pitch stretch zone play that creates some separation from the interior defensive line that were absolute stalwarts for Northern Iowa, I think what we need to do is just trust and lean on that. And even if you're getting 2 and 3, don't completely abandon that. I think sometimes we try to get a little too cute. We try to run some smoke and mirror stuff as opposed to just lining up and trying to administer punishment and enforce our will on a defense.
I couldn't agree more. Isaiah Davis not being available changes a lot as far as our ability to call or even approach a game. Maybe it's not an national championship game in particular. They didn't go into that game thinking, oh, we're going to run the ball 50 times and give it to 22. We're going to run power all day and give it to 22 and not be able to make that adjustment that, hey, this is what we've got to do. We're not in this. And the only way for us to get back to the core root of who we are and just to feel good about ourselves as an offensive unit is to run the football down their throats and dominate them physically. Don't get me wrong. Pierre Strong Jr. is one of the best football players to ever come through our program. I love watching him play. But obviously, he's a different skill set than what Isaiah Davis is. And so there are certain times where a guy like Davis, who's going to come downhill and, who is a big guy, he changes the mindset of the offensive line too. Like, hey, this is how we're going to approach this now. We're missing him, obviously, but that stuff's gone. And so since he's out, no telling when he'll be back, you've got to find a way to be much more effective offensively and just to execute more effectively. And it starts with the grassroots. It starts with the basics in us being to assert ourselves up front offensively. And it starts in practice this week because guess what, fellas? It doesn't get any easier from here on out. And, it's not like the season's over and our playoff hopes aren't dashed. There's still a lot to play for here. So you gotta rally the troops, find a way to right the ship and get it headed in the right direction.
Certainly. So I guess to start this off, that would be both yours and mine and plenty of other Jackrabbit faithfuls' first rant of the game, right? So we're a little bit disjointed offensively, playing behind the sticks, drop balls. I would like to say huge rave. I know you were turning up in Sioux Falls. Are you in Sioux Falls area?
Yeah, Sioux Falls.
Awesome. So having your own Hobo Day, little gathering, I love it no matter where you are, bleeding blue, love that. The fans, man, 16,000 plus. Now we're really building some great momentum. Definitely want to shout out the Rabbit Den, want to shout out the student section and all the season ticket holders and everybody else that are really doing what they can to make their voices heard and make their presence felt. What do you think about all that?
It's great to see, being a part of the program for, she's been 20 years now, which is weird to say out loud. But it's fantastic. And, for years since, Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium has gone up, the folks to the north have given us grief about how well attended it has been in that facility. Well, this year, what we're seeing with these crowds this year is a true testament to the fact that people want to go to these game day experiences if you're winning the games, because that's when it's most fun, when you're winning, when you leave feeling like $1 million because your team just got it done. And unfortunately, the last couple of opportunities they've had to do just that, they've let 15,000 or so go home disappointed, which is tough, of course. But I think those crowds, it's also not only to the team's success, it's a testament to the universities and to the athletic department's emphasis on ensuring or just taking the steps necessary to make sure that when people do show up to tailgate and to take in a game day experience, that it is a positive one for them all the way around, from concessions to facilities to just a general feel in the tailgating area and just on campus. And it's fun. It's awesome.
Certainly. So big shout out. You guys keep showing up, have fun, bring the noise, bring the energy. Your impact is felt, especially from, former defensive player, former offensive player. You can feel it. The energy and the momentum really carry, and want to shout out Chad here for those who aren't watching, who are just listening post recording here, game day operations. Maybe we can get that a little bit more synergistic, right? To use your word with respect to the offensive line. I guess there were a ton of people. You were going to take off to grab some candy, some food, and just couldn't get back to seats in time. So hopefully we can clean that up and expect and anticipate the consistent turnout from fans. So want to get that cleaned up.
Well, I just saw Chad's comment there. Yeah. And so, maybe I'll rescind a bit of my last comment. Granted, I wasn't able to be there last Saturday.
For sure.
But this is obviously one of the biggest games, biggest events that the university puts on every year. Yeah. If I read that correctly, it seems as if he was insinuating that some of the concession lines weren't open on the east side.
I'm not sure about that. They were just so packed that it took like a quarter and a half to get back to the seats. Just to, and don't want to completely pile on to folks that are just tuning in or whatever. But that type of stuff is going to really hinder continuing growth, continuing turnout. It shouldn't. But you have lay fans, you have guys that'll sit in the stands the entire time like me and watch X's and O's because I'm a nerd. But most people by and large want the experience. They want to be able to grab a snack. They want to be able to do what they got to do. So
without a doubt, most people are just there to have a good time, right? Watch a ball game on a beautiful afternoon. Hey, I want some popcorn and a water, or nope, can't have that. Or a pop, no beer yet. Yeah,
no beer yet.
I should be able to go grab it if that's what I need to do. Granted, there's a lot of people there, so yeah, it's a tough event to manage. You got to make sure you're staffed and you've got everything you need. But yeah, we got to continue to make progress on those types of things, because those are the little things that can make or break you, really, as far as bringing those people back, regardless of how nice of a day it is. Because they're not going to get any nicer.
100%, because it looked like it was amazing too. And this time of year we could have 5-6 inches of snow already. So, got to make the most of that. Hopefully everything kind of tapers off and evens out as far as, expectations, but also that we're doing it consistently from a concession standpoint. I know, one of the things that we could bring up as well, not really a knock, but it would be cool to see some more energy brought from the PA perspective. It is getting a little bit better with some of the music. It's more contemporary. It suits the times. I would like to see the influence brought, though. Look no further than some of the regional teams we play against, right? The atmosphere, the energy, the intros. Like, these are things that if you pay attention to detail, you're starting to take the next step. You want to get a $500 million, bold and blue initiative going. Well, let's do the little things across the board, right? So
it is the little things. Game day production. There's been one instance where it was a big game, big afternoon, pre-game. The guys are out in the field doing their warm-ups. I'm up in the booth, and I hear the music being played at the time. Yeah, there's nobody in the stadium, so it isn't really for them. It's for the guys down on the field trying to get ready for this game. Yeah. And, obviously I'm not a country music fan, but a lot of people are. I get that. But these guys are trying to get hyped. We got two kind of slow country music ballad-ish songs playing in the stadium as these guys are warming up. And so I literally went over to the multimedia room like, hey, I don't know who's running this, but we got to freshen this up. It's still something that it's the little things just like that. Got to find a way. Yeah, game day production is big because it does it. And granted, we get spoiled when people go to, we were at a Vikings game a few weeks back, and as far as game day production and things like that, it's a whole other animal. But this is entertainment; it's a production, and so yeah, let's the more seriously we take it about those little things, the bigger difference it really is going to make for these crowds moving forward.
Yeah, indeed. And when you have 3,800 plus turnout from the student section, bro, that's got to be that. And those are accurate numbers too. That wasn't me. That was a stat guy. That is unreal. Like, love the turnout. Keep bringing that energy. We want to balance out the criticism here with some positive feedback. So these are all things where the expectations, Hank, since you and I played, have raised so much that we're trending in the right direction, right? It takes time for these things to catch up sometimes.
You can see it. You can see the progress. You see it really this year. I think that there's been an exponential jump or leap with season ticket holders and just the availability of tickets this year. It's just different. Sure, there's seats available. The folks up north, when you win 3 straight national championships, yeah, every game's going to be sold out. When you win 7 national championships out of 8, whatever it was, the place is going to be sold out. Okay, so yeah, I get that. We're getting there, we just got to keep building on the progress that we've made to date.
Yeah, I think that you hit on some really good points in terms of, once that momentum is built through winning. Yeah, you got some love here. Everybody likes seeing Hank on here. I know better than Matt and I. You got a seasoned vet on cam and with the audio, dudes. So let's keep it rolling. But with respect to the team up north, they've won titles, but now even you're starting to see expectations shift, right? So we go from a D2 school, kind of low to no expectations, to FCS school where people think we're in over our heads, to now perennial playoff and national title contender. So it's like now other operations are trying to catch up because it's rarefied air, right? It's stuff that they've never seen before. So it'll come, everybody. Thunderstruck, maybe Scott, but we're gonna leave that for the team up north a little bit. Great song, great jam, but maybe sends the wrong message. Crowd interaction was good in the spring too, Tammy. I know we got hyped for that, but I think we're turning a corner here. Dion, thanks for weighing in, man. Agreeing with us. I don't know if it's good or bad, but we'll take it all the same. One of the things too, if we get into a rant, I would like to say our defense in the first half. Obviously, the offense spotted them, field position a couple times. Our defense, by and large, looked a little bit off. Playing some young backers in there, but a couple plays where we were just a step or two off, showing our safety hand on the one Isaiah Weston touchdown. First of all, I thought Isaiah Stallbird was not going to be going. In the telecast, they said that he was out due to a non-football related foot injury, but looked like he was out there on the field one-on-one coverage against Isaiah Weston. We're rolling our safeties because we got a safety blitz, so he's one-on-one with Isaiah, and we showed the blitz too early, Hank. That's a cardinal sin, especially against a former Michigan State quarterback, whether or not he got any reps with Sparty. I know he knows what rolling safeties look like, especially when you tip your hand. He knew he had one-on-one with the best receiver on the field.
That's where you're going. Every time, if you can make that ID pre-snap, which a guy, just like you said, with his credentials, being that highly rated coming out of high school, being in a program of that stature, he's a seasoned guy, and he's gonna make that identification, as a lot of quarterbacks at our level are going to make that ID. And so now it's back to sharpness from start to finish as far as alignment and assignment. And really just being able to disguise your coverages in the back, because you show your hand too soon, and sure, you're gonna find yourself in a position where the offense is at an advantage because you've shown your hand. The defense really, being at home, it's gonna be back. You're able to be amongst your alumni and your family and your friends, and so you get to hear and see what they're seeing, and while they're watching the game. And the one thing that I think a lot of us forget sometimes is that when we're on defense, that offense, all those guys on offense, they were highly recruited players coming out of high school as well. Like, they're good, and so they're going to make some plays every now and then. The game's designed so that it's set up from a rules standpoint these days to result in touchdowns and plays being made offensively. And so it's going to happen. And our defense, I thought they did a good job of responding every time you and I did, put together a drive and put up some points. And hey, they could have easily held their heads and we could have gotten blown out last Saturday, but they didn't. They only gave up 6 points in the second half. And so they gave us a shot to win that game time and time again. And in the end, offensively, we just could not make any plays to give us, a better chance of coming out on top.
I'm glad you brought that up, because while our blitz timing, like Ken says here, our blitz timing has been off in certain instances. We had young backers out there. They're trying to get into the flow of real-time game action against an opponent that's, honestly, if they don't stub their toe and completely gift wrap a game to the Yotes, they're full tilt ahead in Valley play. And I honestly see him knocking off Southern Illinois, because I don't see another team winning the trenches like them. Now, I wanted to get into this as well. I want to highlight positives on defense, but before I forget, looking at the team up north, the way they defeated Northern Iowa was by not abandoning the run game and completely getting the ball to other weapons in the run game, right? Hunter Lepke, 10 carries for 40 yards. That's a 4-yard clip. Quincy Patterson, 10 carries, 60 yards. It's a 6-yard per carry clip. Watson got the ball 2 times for 18 yards. It's a 9-yard average per carry. If we are struggling in the run game, we cannot just completely abandon it and become one-dimensional the rest of the way. We either have to run Chris and say, hey, we're going to live and die with this other added facet, or we're going to be forced into throwing 53 times a game. And I have not seen one team at any level rely on the pass 50 times a game and win a title. You can't tell me.
No, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Tom Brady isn't throwing it 50 times in a winning effort all that often.
Right.
And it certainly doesn't work for an offense that has a quarterback that hasn't been at the helm for 4 years, let alone 6 months, like Chris has. And so the Bison, no, you will not see them abandon their MO. This is what we do, and we're either good enough to beat you doing it or we're not. And so to completely abandon the run, we weren't running the ball effectively at all.
Right.
But we also weren't throwing and catching the ball effectively at all. And so, but we weren't down by, 30. And so granted, sure, they tried to maintain some balance, sprinkle in Pierre here and there, but ultimately we were just getting our butts kicked at the point of attack. And, if you're a hat on a hat and consistently losing one-on-one battles, not to mention dropping who knows how many balls at pivotal times in the game, you're going to lose. You're at a serious disadvantage. And I don't think there's any real secret to what the problem is right now. They just got to play better football.
Certainly, and it's in front of us, right? All the goals are still in front of us. Certain media guys and certain pundits, they're going to have to write their articles. They're going to have to draw in attention. Maybe they don't think the Jacks are still in seed contention. I disagree. I think a top 8 seed is still on the table if the table is run throughout the rest of the schedule. We got all the Dakotas left, and then we have Youngstown State on the road, right? So, everything is up for grabs still, and all the Jacks have to do is catch the ball. Don't kill themselves with mental errors. Don't spot the team field position or early points, and then finish, as Tammy says here, tackling. Defense hasn't been as cohesive as they've normally been. What happened to their confidence? That's just young youth getting out there, injuries, and then obviously field position and unsustained drives on offense, Tammy. That's what's going to happen. It's going to kill you every time. What I loathe, Hank, about, reporters, I know they're going to have to ask these questions, and they got to get content to be able to generate a story or a publication. But asking if the guys are coming out flat or if they're doing – the Jacks have not come out flat one time this year, okay? Their effort has been there. They've made mental errors. They've got all the talent in the world. Sometimes they've just shot themselves in the foot with poor execution.
Yeah, coming out flat, I didn't see that last Saturday. How could you in that environment? I thought the guys were ready to play, and they played with great effort. And on both sides of the ball, they played hard. I don't know that I've ever been around seen a Jackrabbit football team that didn't play hard. In years past, we were just either outmanned or we just got beat. But we were gonna give you a go for 4 quarters. Those guys they got to do their jobs. But ultimately, you've just got to find a way to execute better. You got to switch up. Now you're to the point where you're absolutely to the point where you got to change your approach as far as how you prepare for these games, because whatever you're doing right now isn't getting it done. It's not putting the guys in position to be as confident as they need to be in their abilities and ultimately the game plan to go out there. It's just saying if I do my job, not worry about this guy, not worry about what that guy's doing, not worry about anything else, but doing what I need to do at an A+ level to the best of my ability, we're going to be fine because we're that talented. And this team is, just like you said, you run the table, probably get a seed in all likelihood. Yeah, the ball's not going to bounce your way in a tightly contested conference game over the course of the next 4 weeks, and you're going to drop another one. But guess what? You're still going to have a place at the table. And in years past, that's all we were ever asking for was a shot at these playoffs. Let us in there, and then by then we'll be playing better football than what we are right now. And these guys got to focus on the fact that college football seasons, especially at this level, are a marathon, because there's going to be times where we're not playing that well, and but ideally there's some of these games where we've done enough to lose that we're ultimately gonna find a way to win. And right now they're just not finding a way to win those games, and they got to snap out of it if they do want to make the playoffs and ultimately, keep moving forward towards the ultimate goal, a national championship.
Definitely. I mean, and the bright side is like you said, if you have 11 drops, first of all, I don't think I've ever even been around or near a game where that many drops have taken place. But, Chris was completing, I want to say 44-ish% of his passes. I want to say he was like 24-53 for like 300 some yards. So completing a rate of that clip, if they even just catch half of those drop balls, right? Half of those drop balls, I think they had over 12. So
it's a different ball game.
It's a completely different ball game.
Balls, because there's third downs that are converted. There's fourth downs that are converted that give you a chance to put more points on the board. And again, we only lost by 9. So we didn't need much. But no, it's just a sharpness in all 3 phases of the game that isn't there right now. But it can easily be attained. The momentum's a powerful thing, and this is a game of momentum. And so there were opportunities for the team as a whole to rise up and to feed off of momentum by plays being made by guys on either side of the ball. But in the end, it's just not there right now. And I've equated playing quarterback to kind of being like a jump shooter in basketball, where you can get hot and you can spin that ball, and no matter where you let it go, it's going to where you intended. Right now, the whole team isn't in the zone per se, and maybe has a bit of the yips. And the one thing that I know as a former athlete and as a washed up, as a terrible golfer, when it comes to the yips, they eventually go away. And with as talented as this team is, once this set of yips goes away and they collectively regain that assuredness in their abilities as a absolute top 5 team, if not the most talented team in the country, they're going to be dangerous.
Yeah. And when people just ask me what my handicap is nowadays, I just say yes. It's just like all over the board. It's just the number is there. It's bad, but so I can relate to you there. And dark days lead to bright futures, right? So as we get into our game balls here, presented by Jackrabbit Central, I want to shout out our sponsor. Every week it's like I have an itch. Maybe it's a little bit of a tick at this point, ordering stuff from Jackrabbit Central to get out to the to the Brookings Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium, repping the blue and yellow. So this is an older one, little throwback Under Armour shirt here for those listening. But yeah, man. So game balls, really want to shout out Tucker Kraft. I was joking a little bit, tongue in cheek, right? In a tweet that I sent out, and I was like, Tucker Kraft, future draft pick. I'll sign my name to it and give you my social, because that's how much I believe in his ability, both as a run blocker, which I'd like to see some steps taken there. Certainly as a pass catcher, what he does with this ball in his hands, big man with bad intentions. Talk a little bit about what Tucker has shown you.
Well, he stands out, when you're watching these games. He's a player, and it's fun to see. You tend to go back and try to compare these guys to other guys that have come through the program. You can just tell he's a dynamic athlete with soft hands who has the potential to absolutely be a tremendous player. And has all the physical tools that you need at the next level. He's just got to continue to progress, continue to make plays and put together good film, just like he is right now. But he's been fantastic this year. They got to keep finding ways to get him involved, which Oladokun, it looks like, he trusts him. But yeah, no, fun to watch.
Definitely. And, our tight ends and our intermediate passing game was a bright spot there in the matchup with the Panthers, because we had voids all day that we were exploiting. Just got to convert and got to finish, like we talked about. And converting and finishing, Graham Spalding, on the defensive side, man, was all over the field. If he wasn't in on the tackle, he was right there swarming. He was forcing guys to bow around him. And, 12 tackles, I think 2.5 for a loss with a pick and a batted pass. That was really a pivotal batted pass because they had the wheel route rolling, and we're going to get 6 on us there too. So just some timely plays he made. Talk about what you saw from Graham.
Well, I've been seeing it for the last year, that he's got, he kind of stands out. The kid's, he's all over the place. Just got to get his feet underneath him and let the game slow down a bit for him. Well, it looks like it may just beginning to do that because he was impressive last week, and it's a performance that a young linebacker like himself can use to build some added confidence and to continue the tradition at SDSU of having perennial inside linebackers that are going to come downhill and hit you in the face, and also not be afraid to make a play in the pass game and create turnovers.
Certainly. Brandon gave you a shout out here, wants to send some love, good positivity, Hank. Great hair day going on.
It's good to see you, bud. Hope all's well, man. Former teammate of mine.
Got to be a teammate. I was going to say, no way. Excellent stuff, man. Love that you guys are weighing in and joining us here. Appreciate the support. Yeah, man, Graham has been all over the field, and to have a sophomore step up the way he was able to step up, being a Florida guy coming all the way to Brookings, it's kind of cool to see. Starting to see a little bit of a momentum building from the Florida Jacks, perspective. So that's excellent. And I think the D as a whole, as you already touched on, only giving up 6 points in the second half. We scored 7. We won the second half, right? So if we can put 2 together, ideally, that's going to help us turn the corner here towards this last home stretch. As far as mental mistakes, I still think that defensively, we've kind of put ourselves in a spot, got a big 4th down stop, got a personal foul. So, hearing Coach Stig in the post-game presser talk about, maybe it's at home, maybe we're, he trusts his guys, so he thinks they're taking care of the little things. But I'd like to see a little bit more discipline emerge, at least in what we're seeing in terms of the game day production. If we're catching a ball and we're getting a first down and we're down 2 scores, probably not the time to signal first down. What are you seeing as far as the way the game is kind of evolving from the showboating, the taunting type perspective?
Yeah, I'm not a big referee guy. At times it seems like those guys try to insert themselves in the games unnecessarily. You see it with the pros these days. They're calling these taunting penalties. It's like, really, guys? I mean, hey, I get it. We're trying to stave off, things escalating beyond where they need to from a competitive standpoint. And so I guess I get the emphasis on it, but it's those are some of the little things that discipline. You talk about how it can impact a game. Those penalties can be very costly. You get one of those at an inopportune time, it can cost you a game. And so, maybe refocusing on some of those, that being one of the many small things we got to refocus on, just doing the right thing on the field, especially more often than not. Hey, guys, I'm all for being fired up after making a play, but let's go celebrate with our teammates. Let's go, if we're, let's just focus on doing this as a crew together. Like, hey, let's party together when we do something big. But more importantly, let's make sure we do what we need to do to come out with this dub so that then we can really party and enjoy this together. And man, let's refocus on that. That'll be my tangent on that piece.
I am so anti-official from this perspective that, like, you never want to hear about them. And if you're hearing about an official, well, you didn't do your due diligence in preparation and execution, because for them to call a blindside block when clearly Zach Hines is man up facing him, Chris got a first down with his legs, and then they throw a flag for that. Really makes me wonder if they're officiating football or football. Maybe they're at a U7 game for you next weekend, because it really was kind of bush league the way that was called.
There's an unwritten rule in broadcasting that you're not supposed to bag on the referees. Well, I'm not somebody who buys into that. Last I checked, those guys are being paid to be there. They're not volunteers.
That's right.
So if you're being paid to do what you're doing, then you better be able to do it, at a pretty high level, because this isn't high school. This isn't Friday Night Lights out there, guys. So So get it together. These guys are moving a hell of a lot faster than what those high school kids are. And don't get me wrong, these refs, they call a lot of games, and a lot of them have been doing it for a long time. But sometimes, just like players, they can lose focus too, I guess, these refs, just like broadcasters can get caught sleeping at the wheel. But no, it's, in the Valley too, over the years, we've certainly seen some progress.
Right. It's been good.
That are there. And you're going to miss a call, but you gotta find a way to overcome those things.
Yeah, definitely. It just goes back to, the SIU game, that atrocious sideline warning penalty. Granted, it wasn't a sideline warning. I think we actually got penalized. I don't even think we got warned first. So that's an issue. The Furry Cows up north, when they're playing UNI, clear as day targeting penalty didn't get called. At least they got that correct on the field on Saturday against Yankee, because Jackson was literally, he was rocked. I'm surprised, credit to him for being tough enough to withstand that and hold the ball.
Oh yeah, he took a shot. That's for sure. And he held onto the ball, which we need all those guys to do it more often than not going forward. I think the referees as a whole in college football this year have done a great job about redefining or just honing in on these targeting calls and saying, hey, yeah, sure, there was helmet contact there, but was there obvious malicious intent, or was it just, a circumstance of the play as it unfolded? They are being much more realistic and giving kids an opportunity to, just to not get booted out of a game that they've worked so hard to be a part of because of a freak hit. They've made some progress there, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm with you there, Hank. As you being a former defensive player, I think that I would much rather see physicality remain in the game and err on the side of, are both the guys hurt? Okay, nobody led with the crown, or intent wasn't malicious. Okay, let's not toss a kid, because really I don't think it even discourages the act, tossing the kid. I think it just hurts the team overall. So good points there. We've hammered on it a lot. I think the guys hurt more than any fan ever could that they didn't get it done on Saturday. But I'm very confident that the senior leadership will help them rally around one another, because that's their only option, really. And then hopefully get the ship righted as we travel to Youngstown State. So Youngstown State last year, this is a team, as we look ahead, is not going to be easy. They tend to play to the level of their opponent, good or bad, right? And, they got a win early on in the year against Incarnate Word. They took us to the brink last year. If not for a Cole Fromm field goal, we might not have gained the number 1 seed. We certainly wouldn't have gained the number 1 seed and made the run to Frisco. So your initial impressions of Youngstown State?
Well, Youngstown, historically, no, they're not a team that's going to let the Jackrabbits roll into town and just have their way with them. No way. They will play us tough, regardless of what their record says, regardless of beating Incarnate Word in overtime, barely. They will be ready to play. And it's Missouri Valley football. Again, they have players. And if we go into there thinking, oh yeah, it's just another walk in the park because we're so good, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Shouldn't be, after the way that we've played the last month or so. And so I expect Jackrabbits come out and to take it to them, because that's, in my opinion, that's what needs to happen in order for them to get this train back on the right track, is to flash, to show the quality that we know that they can produce in every phase of the game. Right now, they're not doing it. So we'll see if this week's of preparation can end up with different results, not just in the win-loss category, but in the overall quality of play that we see on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be interesting too, because that was one of those games where Mark, which it would be interesting to see what his legs would do right now with that 3-headed monster in the backfield for the Jacks. But Mark, that was one of his, I would say, one of his less than ideal games that he had. Didn't turn the ball over. Mark protected the ball, as by and large Chris has this year as well. Just untimely in these different instances where we've coughed it up. But Doug Phillips, for those who don't know, is the head coach of Youngstown, coming over from Cincinnati. last year, or the spring season was his inaugural season, coaching the Penguins, and, really had them taking some steps. Mark Wade was the quarterback. He was an all-world prep player in the state of Ohio, was pretty highly recruited, chose the Penguins, and, just couldn't really find the rhythm. Definitely turnover happy, turned the ball over against us as well. I believe we had an interception or two. And then, we were able to eke one out. But this is going to be a little bit different complexion. As you mentioned, and we kind of touched on it, they beat Incarnate Word to open the season in an overtime game. Jaleel McLaughlin, obviously, he's their go-to guy, the little scat back who can run it up the middle just as well as he can get the edge. He's a D2 transfer, much like our D2 transfer, Michael Griffin. These guys play with a tenacity and a chip on their shoulder. They're the overlooked. So we're going to need to rally tackle and bring all 11 helmets when we're hitting him. And then, you look at Incarnate Word is a team that beat Texas State, a mid-level FBS caliber team. And so, talk about your impressions in terms of how they might attack the Jacks, what they might try to look to do in terms of getting us off our game.
Well, Youngstown, they're going to come in, they're going to try to run the football and establish things up front, because what they're going to see on film is a team that is essentially, to a certain degree on their heels and maybe playing a little tentative. And so they're going to come out and say, hey, if we can hit these guys in the mouth early, we can get them flustered and doubting themselves, because that's the way it's kind of looking. Last couple of losses that they've taken, they've they haven't responded to that type of adversity in a manner that would result in them coming back and winning those games. It's different. For the last, was it? I don't know how long was Bo Pelini there? It's quite a while. I don't know if it was quite 6-7 years.
6 or 7 years, yeah.
Yeah. You knew exactly what you were going to get from these guys. Well, they've opened things up since he's left. And, they're going to zip it around the field a heck of a lot more than what they have traditionally in the past. But they're going to see opportunities. They're going to try and hit us over the top, try to get some explosive plays early and put some points on the board and get the Jackrabbits doubting themselves. Because that, it appears to be a recipe that seems to be pretty tasty for some of our opponents here as of late.
Yeah, and it'll keep what really is a high octane offense off the field, right? And that's exactly what you and I tried to do: win the trench game, and then also possess the ball, play good defense, win the field position game. Football is not a complicated game. It is chess at times, but overall, it's a simple recipe that'll get it done: ball control, time of possession, field position, no turnovers. That's going to get it done more often than not. And, we talked about their W against Incarnate Word, dropped the next two, one to Michigan State, which you can't really fault them for getting blown out there. Michigan State is not even defeated at the FBS level, ranked in the top 10, I believe, as of this week. You check the next one off the list, Western Illinois. That's probably one they should have gotten. They were up 35-14 at half. And then, the Leathernecks, they're those cardiac kids. They'll come back on you in the second half with a vengeance. And they dropped one of those late, 38-35. So they were shut out in the second half against the Leathernecks. Then they were just completely outmatched in Cedar Falls. They lost 34-7 to UNI. Missouri State, this is the shocker to me. Missouri State is a good football team. They had the Bison on the brink this past week in Fargo. Coach Petrino can coach some football. The head man there, the Bears for Missouri State, formerly known as Missouri State. We didn't get them this year, for better or worse. But Youngstown State got the W, 41-33 in that one. They were able to force a ton of turnovers, right? That's going to win you plenty of games. 4 turnovers. The offense, they got three on the ground, and they got the final 5 minutes, they were able to secure the victory there. So anybody who wants to check that out, check it out. But they did drop one to the Sycamores, or the S'mores, as we like to call them on the A team here, the Splitting Hairs podcast. So, an up and down season for them, really inconsistent, trying to find their stride, pretty much to be expected. But this is one going on the road to Stambaugh Stadium. This is one that we got to take care of. Playoff lives are on the line here.
They are. Yeah, they are. And and dropping this game on the road, will be, be painful, and really be a problem. But and in my opinion, if SCSU doesn't play better than what they did last week, or better than they have the last month, they very well could come out and lose this game. It could cost them. This goes to show. You look at Youngstown State's season as it has unfolded to date is exactly the picture that somebody could describe when you look at Missouri Valley football. It is so the parity is real. And if you're not prepared on any given Saturday, in years past, okay, Missouri State, yeah, we can walk all over them. In years past, USD, yeah, we can definitely walk all over them. Well, things have changed, and that is not the case anymore. And there's literally not a team on SDSU's schedule outside of those preseason games, outside of the conference, where you can say, hey, we're going to walk all over these guys, regardless of our ranking. And the Bison will tell you that. If you don't show up on every given Saturday, ready to go at a high level, you could fall. You could get beat by one of these guys. And so, SCSU not playing well right now. They've got to find a way to sharpen things up, because it is, like I said, it's not going to get any easier anytime soon. It's going to get more difficult. And so that should be a challenge to them to say, hey, we got to play better. We know we can play better. So let's find a way to go do that. Let's change our approach. We've got to change it. Whatever we're doing ain't working. Yeah. And so let's switch it up and focus on the little things and get back to business.
Yeah, I would love to see an attention to detail and a renewed focus. Dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids, 23, 24 in Chris Oladokin's case with the grad transfer stuff. But that's really difficult, right? Because their mentality can hang on a thread. We brought in the mindset coach, which I thought was a great investment. Hopefully he can help get the ship righted and really just dial in, because Hank, you seem to be a pretty successful guy. Obviously, we played Division I football. We're able to be in a situation that not a lot of guys were. And we went to work, right? Well, being a guy who donned the blue and yellow, you got to pay attention to detail. And if you don't pay attention to detail, you're not going to play. You're not going to get it done. And then when you carry that mindset over into your everyday life with your family, with your job, doing the dishes, putting things out of place here and there, that can be the difference in an entire relationship. You know what I mean? Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, man, did I do it? Did I do all the little things?
Well, there's one thing I know, it's that college football coaches, they earn their checks, especially at our level, at the SCF's level. You mentioned, that new addition to the coaching staff or the athletic department, with a heightened focus on mental health, these young people's mental health. That is a tremendous asset for the program, and one that our generations could have reaped the benefits of, if the funding and really just the social acceptance of those types of conversations for young men, those types of resources for young men were there. So no, absolutely, those guys should be leaning on those types of resources for them, especially right now, because times are tough. And you lose a game like you did last Saturday in front of a Hobo Day crowd like that, that would be tough. I don't know what that would feel like. I never lost on Hobo Day, but I imagine that all the support those guys could get right now will certainly pay dividends over the long haul. So whether it is people within the program, people outside of the program, just know these guys, they're probably dealing with a lot right now. They still got to go to class. They got things that they have to do to remain successful both on and off the field. So anytime you see one of these guys, maybe their head might be down, or I don't know, just give them a nudge, tell them, hey, keep fighting, because that's what I would say to the guys. Just keep fighting, fellas, and focus in on those details, and just understand there's a whole lot of people, not just here in South Dakota, but all around the United States of America, all around the world, that are pulling for you and that care how you guys do week in and week out.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you put that out there on the forefront for this whole conversation, because I think at the end of the day, people just need to realize, especially me and you being football guys, football overlaps with life, but at the end of the day, life takes precedent, right? We're people first, and hopefully everyone recognizes that, and even the lay fan, that may have some criticisms to shell out. Keep that in mind. Keep that in perspective. These are kids at the end of the day trying to become great young men. And I think a renewed focus and attention to detail will help them get it done. And then just shifting back onto the Youngstown State conversation, you said any team can get beat any day in the Valley, and that couldn't be more accurate, especially this year. It's probably the deepest it's ever been. And I wanted to highlight that Incarnate Word game because, they have a very high-powered offense. I believe freshman of the year last year, the Jerry Rice Award went to their quarterback over Mark Gronowski. So granted, that's a team that's going to put up high stats. They're going to wow you with the stats. They play that style of game. But that's a team that has only lost 2 games all year, one of them being to Youngstown State. So, I mean, the Valley is deep because Youngstown State, depending on how they finish up here, they're not going to be the upper echelon of the Valley. So I'm really glad you touched on that because, hay's in the barn and we need to take care of business this Saturday. So shifting gears here, man, just to wrap it up because we're about at an hour. We want to get into some predictions. I think I'll kick it off here just to keep it simple. Run the football. We were averaging 41 points a game. We were 5 of 19 on third down against Northern Iowa. I think we get that ship corrected today. As in Saturday, this upcoming Saturday. And I think we're going to execute at probably a 60% clip, hopefully on third down. I think we're going to take care of business. I like the good guys, 35-14.
I'm fine with that prediction. I don't have any qualms with that prediction. I think that whether it's, certainly running the football, also catching the football will provide the team with a base if you get to that 60 percentile there in converting third downs, you're going to be in position to win the game. If you can rush the football for more than 4 yards a carry, you're going to be in position to win the game and at least be successful offensively. And so I think that Youngstown presents an opportunity for the Jackrabbits to reestablish the type of momentum that they could hope to have at this phase of the season, because it is going to get tougher. You're not rolling into Fargo next week. You're going down to Youngstown. These guys are still trying to figure some things out within their program as a whole. New coach and new regime and getting some new things established there. So the table's there for you guys to really to put this season back on track in the direction that you want it to be, where we all want it to be headed. And that's the other thing. So many of us, it's easy for us to sit here because we've had a front row seat watching the folks up north win every game for the better part of the last decade. And so they say, well, now we're on top. We're a top 5 team. We should be winning every game. It's just, it's difficult to do. Winning college football games is very hard. And so for so many reasons, but just like you hit on earlier, the mental health aspect of it, these kids, they're not in the right space mentally. They're not in the space where they will be as productive as they absolutely can be. The key and the absolute, the number one puzzle right now is figuring out a way to get, that's the thing, it's football. So you need literally 80 guys you got to fix their mindset, and you got to do it as quickly as possible before things spiral out of control. And so the coaches, they're going to be earning their paychecks over the course of the next month to get this thing back on track. And I think that they do that this weekend at Youngstown. I'm going to take the Jacks in what will be a good game. I think we're going to actually pull away late because these wide receivers are going to catch the ball late. They're going to make some plays over the top late. Tucker Kraft's going to have a great day. Pierre Strong's going to have a great day. Jackrabbits win. I'm going to go 28-14.
Nice. Okay. I like that. I just would love to see the defense prove me wrong, because I thought they were going to do so against Southern Illinois when they had that multiple goal line stands. But really the most wild play I've seen on a football field all year so far, when they had the 96-yard fumble return touchdown. So hopefully we can have some of that magic unfold for us on the defensive side of the ball against Youngstown. So I got good guys 35-14. You got them 28-14. You see the passing game starting to become more fluid in finding their stride again. And I like the run game, and I like Tucker Kraft as well. So offensively, I'm going to go game ball to Tucker Kraft, because it's National Tight End Day. So what better way to celebrate him than going to Tucker? Defensively, I like Adam Bach to step up and make his presence known.
Bach's a player. I like watching Adam play. He flies around. I'll as far as game balls go, yeah, I think PS2 is ready for a breakout game. And I'm sitting here saying these guys, they've been averaging 40 points a game up until last week. Well, guess what? You're not always going to be able to score 40 points a game, and you're still gonna have to find a way to win those games. Mm-hmm. And so Youngstown, they're gonna play some defense. They're gonna throw a lot at Oladokun, and we'll see how he responds. I'm interested to see all these guys kind of respond to some adversity and maybe just a little bit of a different manner, and just understand that, hey, just keep swinging that axe, fellas. Keep working, and good things will happen because we are that good.
Bingo. So those are our predictions. Those are our game balls presented by Eric Erickson of Cutler Law Firm. It's a heck of a name, Eric Erickson. Very Norwegian, I feel like, very suitable for the area. So shout out to him for investing and supporting the podcast and being a sponsor. One of the things that I like to say, you mentioned adversity. My buddy Bobby Stroop, who my cousin got a chance to work under from a human performance perspective. He works with some guy named Pat Mahomes out in Kansas City. He says adversity and humility are dear friends of our best selves. And I couldn't agree with that more. So hopefully the guys take that to heart, learn a little bit about themselves, and rise up and face the adversity this weekend, man, because I like what we've got as a team. I think there's a lot of doom and gloom because the expectations are so high, but I like what we got.
Couldn't agree more. The pieces are there. This is as talented of a football team as this program has ever had, and that's top to bottom. That isn't just All-American wide receiver, All-American tight end, and maybe an All-American quarterback. I'm talking, 10 deep on the offensive and defensive line. These guys, there are players unlike we've ever had at the program, and it's just about putting it together, getting out of this funk, because that's what they're in. We know they can play better. They know they can play better. It's just a matter of them finding a way to get the best out of themselves.
Yes, sir. Well, Hank, I appreciate you joining the podcast again. Thanks for devoting your time and your commitment for however many years, 10 years, did you say, with Midco?
Was 10 years. Yes. Last year was our 10th year. It was a weird one, obviously. But yeah, 2011 was our first year. Austin Sumner's first year playing quarterback for the guys. I think you were still running around.
That was my senior year. Wow.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
We are getting down here.
No, we are. There's no doubt about it. So no, who knows? It's a fun year, and there's still a lot of football to be played. There's going to be a lot more fun. These guys are going to make some more plays, and I fully expect them to see these guys in the playoffs and to make a run, because despite the outcome last year at Frisco, it took me a while to be able to say that I had a great time while I was down there, and we were close. And so if we get another chance to get back in there, we can bring that thing home.
Yes, sir, man. It was great seeing you. Best of luck in your U7 soccer coaching, man. And again, thanks for hopping on the pod. And with that, go big, go blue, go Jacks.